A very good morning to you all, children. Children, I welcome you all to today's session of English drama, and we will be dealing with the drama written by perhaps one of the greatest dramatists ever born on this earth. This is what most of us feel, and he is none other than William Shakespeare. And in your course, this is one of his best creations, which is The Merchant of Venice. Now, this play has various shades in it. It's simple, it's interesting, it's elegant, it's stylish, and it inculcates the best of thoughts and the greatest of messages which are there for us to take. Now, some points about Merchant of Venice are that it was written sometime around 1597, right? That was the time when it was written. It was written as a romantic comedy since it's about love and ends on a happy note or happily. Fuses many dramatic elements: romantic courtship, riddling love test, eloping lovers, comic confusions, and a gripping courtroom trial, and a seemingly harmonious final act. And at the core of the play, Shylock, the Jewish moneylender. He only appears in 5 of the 20 scenes, but his presence dominates the play. This you will notice as we will be going scene by scene, line by line explanation, that specifically the lines written for Shylock are so very strong that they overshadow all the other speeches said by other important characters of the play. Now, there are some salient features about this play which I will be elaborating, because this play is a unique one written by William Shakespeare. Shakespeare was known for murder, treacherous plotting, exotic depiction of events, but this play had a altogether different flavor. Why? Now let us see that. Now, the salient features include it is a comedy play, yes, because in every act you will find few characters playing comically. In the first scene, you will find the discussion between Salarino and Salenio regarding Antonio. Then the way Portia portrays in the Act 1, Scene 2, Portia portrays the 6 suitors during her discussion with Nerissa. Then you will find that when Salarino and Salenio are interacting with Shylock, then when Lancelot Gobbo scene is there, Lancelot tries to play tricky with Gobbo. Also during interaction with between Lancelot and Nerissa, then Lancelot with Lorenzo and Nerissa. So at many places you will find comedy elements of comedy which being there, which were never ever prior to this in any of the play of Shakespeare. Now in this play there is a depiction of a very strong villain who is actually not a villain. He is a victim of circumstances, you will find. But then the kind of flavor he adds to the play is that of a villain. You will also discover out that how the lines for a villain are written in such a way that they overshadow the line of others, right? Now depiction of a very strong heroine of the play. Now in most of the plays of Shakespeare, the participation of woman is generally confined up to love making, or being a mother, or being a sister, or being a friend, and that's all. Here there is a heroine, Portia, who will also be involved in being in love with Bassanio, then being a good daughter and an honest daughter to her father, then a sister come friend of Narissa. But then when it comes to going for justice, then she uses all her courage and brain, and she went with her sister come friend to the court of Duke, dressed up in a male attire, forgetting everything, all the fears of a young girl, she forgets, and then she twists and turns the law to save the good Antonio from the clutches of Shylock. Venice depicted as an important trade center of the world. Yes, we all know that Venice is an important trade center, but in this play it has been remarked as the perhaps the most important trade center, because when the Duke challenges Shylock in the Act 4, Scene 1, and says that I can end the case at this moment itself. Shylock warns him that you can't do anything, but the news will spread all across the world that in Venice such kind of unlawful acts occur, and so the trade of Venice will perish. That means the trade in Venice was conducted all across the world. Now there are few very important characters. Antonio, which is the central character of the play. Around Antonio and his merchandise revolves the entire play. Bassanio is the hero of the play, obviously, as he's married to the heroine, right? He's young, he's chivalrous, he's kind, he's nice, and he's one of the friends of Antonio. Antonio is the merchant of Venice, as depicted in the play. He has his Aragoses all from all across the world. He conducts the trade, right? And he lends money at gratis. That is without interest to his friends. He never asks them to pay him back. No time limit is there. So he was a happy-go-lucky kind of person, whereas Bassanio was a spendthrift. Then we have Portia, the heroine of the play. In the beginning, she behaves like a humble and honest daughter to her father, then a true lover of Bassanio, and then she changes her color and becomes a savior or a lover of justice, and she dressed up in a male attire and goes to the court of Duke to fight to save Antonio. And in the last scene, she plays prank with her husband in the ring episode. And the last, but not the least, Shylock as the villain of the play. Not exactly a villain; he was the victim of circumstances. And yes, he was a Jew, a money lender who used to lend money at exorbitant rates because that was his job. He has a daughter by the name of Jessica, who is in love with Lorenzo, and she wants to elope, and she elopes ultimately, right? Now we come to the another very important aspect of this play, theme of the play. The first is and foremost is enmity between Jews and Christians. Yes, this is called anti-Semitism, and which was quite prevalent there because of the practices of Jews which was there. The world hated the Jews. See, because Jews had hold on the money, they were the predominant people around, and they hated Christians. as well as Christians hated the Jews. Now, the reason being, Christians hated Jews because it was the Jews who had crucified Jesus, right? And Christians were the Hebrews who were the slaves of the Jews, rather, right? These Hebrews led the life of poverty, extreme poverty, and the Jews used to rule them. So that was there in the minds of Christians, and this is why Christians hate. Now, why Jews hate Christians is because the growth of Christianity led to the downfall of Judaism or Jews, right? Because more and more Jews, due to the strict practices which were there, got converted into Christianity, right? In this play, there are two characters: Antonio, who is a Christian, who is a very famous Christian of Venice, a strong character, and the Jew tribe is represented by Shylock, right? Now, this ancient grudge is there between the two, and apart from that, the Christians being in majority in Venice, they used to play mockery of the Jews. They used to beat them, they used to abuse them, and same was the treatment meted out to Shylock, and that is one reason why he hated. Also, Shylock hated Antonio because Antonio used to lend money at gratis. He used to scorn the nations, right? He used to cool the friends of Shylock, heated the enemies of Shylock. So they all turned against Shylock, and they all used to take money off from Antonio, thus destroying the business of Shylock. There is the second theme is of mercy. Yes, the importance of mercy has been highlighted in the play, predominantly in the Act 4, where the Duke pleads Shylock to show some mercy on Antonio, and then Portia delivers the famous speech on mercy. Now, students, that speech has come in 2020's question paper also. So you can well imagine how important that is, right? Now, apart from that, Portia and Nerissa also gave mercy to their husbands during the ring episode, and also grants mercy because the life of Shylock was ultimately in the hands of Antonio, and Antonio grants him mercy, gives him money also to live, and after his death, he requests that the portion of his property with Shylock should go to his daughter. And the third, the harsh realities of Venice versus idealistic romance of Belmont. Not there was Venice is the playground of Antonio, Shylock, Bassanio, Lancelot, Salarino, Salerno, Duke, and all that, where the infighting between Jews and Christian and all that is going on one hand, and all the strong scenes occur here. On the other hand, there is an imaginary city, Belmont, which is actually not there, where all the romantic episodes between Portia, the marriage of Portia, the lottery scene or casket scene, all takes place, right? And the two cities symbolize two different kinds of mindset. One of harsh realities, that is in Venice, and the other of romance or idealistic romance at Belmont. Now we come to last part, which is plots and subplots. Now the plots and subplots, there are two plots and two subplots. Now Bond story, right from the point when the ships of Antonio are missing, and Antonio is in a melancholic mood. Then his friends come. Then Bassanio asks for some money, and Antonio tells him to take money from anybody in Venice on his name, and then nobody gives them money, and they go to Shylock for the money and all that, till the judgment being pronounced at the Duke's court. All the twists and turns, they form the main plot of the play. Which all these things occurred in Venice. Now the second plot was Lottery of Caskets, which occupy a lot of space. Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. And all these things occurred in Belmont, right? From Act 1, Scene 2, where the mood of Portia was melancholic. When Nerissa asks her what is happening, she says, I can neither choose nor refuse anyone. Now, the Lottery of Casket was designed by Portia's father for the marriage of Portia, and whosoever decides, there were three caskets, lead, silver, and gold. And on one of the caskets, there was portrait of Portia, and whosoever chooses it, Portia will have to marry that person. And as a humble and a loyal daughter, Portia obeyed these sentiments of her father. Now, initially, six suitors came. Then there was Prince of Morocco, then Prince of Aragon, and ultimately Bassanio. And this entire thing occupies a lot of scenes and space in this play. Now, some subplots. The first one being the Jessica and Lorenzo love story. Yes, depicting another example of two different. On one hand, we see a Jew Shylock and a Christian Antonio going great guns against each other as enemies. Here we see two lovers, Lorenzo belonging to the Christian community and Jessica belonging to the Jew community, being in love with each other. Of that event, of that stunt, that they wanted to elope, Jessica wanted to elope with Lorenzo, and ultimately does so, shows courage of being the torch bearer. And then the ring scene, which was there to relax the mindset of the viewers and also to impart the strong theme of all's well that ends well. In this play, another theme goes on, which is all that glitters is not gold, right? Means don't take the things as they look as. This is shown in the casket scene as well as in the court scene, because at one time Shylock thought that Portia, as Dr. Balthazar, is going to pass on a verdict in his favor, but then the tides turn. Also, in the beginning, Antonio believes that his ships and Argoses will return in under 2 months, but they took more than 3 months, and ultimately he has to face all the trouble. So, all these things together make this play a very interesting one, children. And I'm sure you all will enjoy it as much as I will do in explaining him. So, with that, I conclude my introduction part of The Merchant of Venice, and hope you all have liked it as much as I did. So, thank you for your patience.